My name is Heather Fletcher. I'm the Program Director for Agriculture Education on the Move. I have my special helper with me today. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Mia Fletcher and I am in 3rd grade.
Mia is a 3rd grader who has done our traditional in-classroom Agriculture Education on the Move program. She loves the activities and she's going to help us with this one today. So thanks, Mia. Okay, so if this is your first activity video with Agriculture Education on the Move, we are so glad you're here and we hope you enjoy it. Be sure to check out our Facebook page and our YouTube channel for other videos as well as some more upcoming. Today our activity is going to be an activity and kind of an experiment using products from corn.
Really?
So if you're following along with your activity pack, you can go ahead and pull out your corn activity plan papers as well as your corn plastic supply bag. If you do not have one of the activity packs, you can find the supply list and all of these resources linked to this video. Okay, so Mia, what do you think of when we say corn?
I think of corn on the cob, popcorn, and don't forget those giant fields of corn.
That's right. All right, so she thinks of several things, probably things that most of us think of. Corn on the cob, popcorn, and seeing cornfields all throughout Missouri. And we definitely do see a lot of those, probably driving down the road even. And what are the things that catch our eye about those?
They are tall.
Really tall.
They are like widely grown crops across Missouri.
That's right, that's right. There's usually a big field full of very tall corn. And corn is a plant, and that's a tall plant. And the plant has an anatomy or parts. And it's important to understand those parts to grow corn. So of the parts, which part of the corn plant would be down in the soil?
The roots are right down there.
The roots. And what do the roots do?
They collect nutrients and water from the soil.
That is correct. They soak those up from the soil for the plant. They also serve as an anchor for the plant. And for a big tall plant like that, the anchor has a pretty important job. That's right. Okay, so what would be the strong, straight part that supports the plant?
The stalk.
The stalk. And it goes all the way up here. Okay, so in our last video, we talked about the term photosynthesis. Do you remember?
Yes.
Yeah, and photosynthesis is the process by which plants use carbon dioxide from the air, which is what we breathe out, and water, and they use energy from sunlight to create their own food. They don't have to go to the grocery store to get their food. They can make their own, which is pretty impressive. And through that process, they release oxygen into the air, and that's what we breathe. So photosynthesis is a pretty important process. And do you remember what part of the plant that process occurs in, Mia?
The leaf is right all over.
The leaves, right. The leaves are where photosynthesis occurs. And on the corn plant, it's these big, broad green leaves that go all the way up the plant. Okay, another part of the corn plant, is the ear. Now, the ear, is that where they hear?
No!
No, that's silly. The ear is the female flower part of the plant, or it's where the seeds or those corn kernels are on that ear of corn. Another part of the ear is the silk. Do you see the silk?
Yeah, the silk's right there, and it's that little hair on top of
It's the hair. It's those little thin hairs that stick up out of the top of the ear of corn. And those silks is where the pollen from the male part of the corn plant, corn flower land, and then it goes down those silks, and each of those silks is how a corn kernel is formed. Then that male part of the corn plant is the tassel. And where's the tassel?
Right up there, that's the tassel.
Up at the very tip top. And that's where the pollen is produced. And the corn typically tassels around July 4th and then pollinates and forms those ears. So if the corn tassels around July 4th, then what time of year do you think the farmer plants his corn?
The spring.
in the spring, that's right, when the soil starts to warm up and those corn seeds can germinate and begin the growing process. Then they grow all summer long, and then they are harvested in the fall, and that's when the farmers take their combines into the field to harvest that corn. Speaking of corn and an ear of corn and the silks and the tassels, how many on average kernels do you think are on an ear of corn?
800.
800. I think maybe I've told you that number before, huh? Maybe, yep. But that's right. There is on average 800 kernels of corn on an ear of corn. So if you think about those big fields, that's a lot of kernels of corn out there. Okay, so talking about the ears and the number of kernels, so this is an ear of corn. And this is what, in the fall, around harvest time, an ear of corn might look like. You can see that the husk is no longer green. It's kind of that dried up yellow color. And then inside, those kernels are pretty hard. But Mia, the kinds of corn you mentioned at the beginning, especially corn on the cob, does this look like that?
Mm-mm.
No, it's pretty different. Does it feel like it? No, it's really hard. And it just frankly doesn't look quite so tasty, does it?
No, it does not look tasty at all.
No. Well, that's because this is actually a different type of corn. There are different types of corn that can be grown out in a cornfield. And the corn on the cob, the type that we eat, is called sweet corn. Yeah. It's harvested mid-growing season, more in the summertime, and that's when those kernels are nice and plump and juicy and really tasty for our corn on the cob and the things we eat. Another type of corn that Mia also mentioned is popcorn. Popcorn is grown on a corn plant, and it has an ear of corn like this, but the kernels on popcorn are the little popcorn seeds that you've maybe seen in the bottom of your popcorn bag or in the bottom of the thing at the movie theater when you've eaten popcorn and there's a few unpopped kernels in there. So that's what those ears of corn look like on popcorn. And then this corn is called field corn. And sometimes it's called dent corn because in the top of each of the kernels, there's a little dent. So it can be called dent corn or field corn, and it's harvested later in the fall when those kernels are nice and hard, and the farmers harvest them. And this type of corn, field corn, is actually the most widely grown type of corn throughout the U.S. When I say most, it's like 99% of all the corn grown is field corn. So it's pretty much all of it, and that's because field corn can be used for so many different things. What are some of the things that field corn can be used for, Mia?
Vegetable oil, livestock feed, and car gas.
Very good. Yep, all of those things are big uses of field corn. Field corn is used in livestock feed, like for chickens, pigs, cattle, turkeys. All of their feed rations can have field corn in it. Ethanol is a type of fuel that is made from corn, and it can be used to power cars and trucks and vehicles on the road, which is pretty cool that we're growing fuel out in the fields. And then some of the other more, surprising things you might think of, the vegetable oil or corn oil, maybe not so surprising, but shampoo has products from corn. Crayons can have products from corn.
Do pencils?
Possibly, depending on the type of pencil. And even the blue jeans that we wear has some products from corn in it. So field corn is used for lots of different things, and whether that's really what we think of when we see a field of corn, we're using products from field corn every single day, and we're proud of those farmers that are providing those products. Okay, one more product that corn can be used for is a lot of plastics, corn-based plastics. And that's what we're going to experiment with today with our activity. So now if you have one of your activity packs, you can go ahead and pull all the pieces out of your supply bag. If you don't have an activity pack, remember you can find the supply list linked to this video. And most of the supplies you need are household items. We've done a little bit of prep work before this, which you can pause the video and do yourself. You'll have 2 small cups in your bag. In one of those, if you have one with measurements, you want to put 1 tablespoon of water. That's exactly how much you'll need. And in the other one, you can just put a small amount of corn oil or vegetable oil, whatever you have. It can be something like this that you probably have in the pantry or the cabinet. And just put a tiny bit because you won't need very much of that. Okay, so then you can pull out your small bag, and it's labeled cornstarch, and it's got this white powder in it. Now, cornstarch is one of the main ingredients in corn-based plastics, and it comes from the very center of the corn kernel and is ground up into cornstarch. It's used for thickening a lot of things, and then also in plastics. So make sure the cornstarch is down in the bottom of the bag, then carefully open the top. All right, I'm gonna provide Mia a helping hand today. This can be an activity that is good to have a little bit of help with. So I'm gonna hold the bag. She's gonna pour in her 1 tablespoon of water. Good job. Okay, and then take your cup with the oil and your little pipette that was in your bag. She's gonna squeeze a little bit of the oil up into it. And then you're going to just put 2 to 3 drops of oil in your bag. 2, 3, good job, good job. Okay, now an optional ingredient, if you would like to add, is food coloring. If you'd like to make colored plastic. Mia would like to make blue plastic today, so she's gonna put 2 or 3 drops of blue food coloring in her plastic. You can make the plastic just fine with or without the food coloring, whatever your preference and whatever you have where you're at. Okay, once you get all of your ingredients in, you wanna seal the top, be sure it's sealed, and then you gotta squeeze it real good. Make sure everything gets mixed up. You don't wanna be able to see the white corn starch in the bottom or the liquid on the top. You want it all to get mixed up together real good. Give it some good squeezes, just like Mia's doing, so it gets good and mixed up. And the good thing about the food coloring is you can really tell when it gets good mixed because you can't see any more of the white cornstarch. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you while Mia finishes mixing up. This next part, it's very important that you stop and get help from an adult because we are going to microwave our corn plastic and it's going to get hot. In order to make it into plastic, we have to get it pretty hot, and I don't want anyone to burn themselves. So now is when you need to make sure you have help from an adult before you go on to the next step. Okay, we have gotten our corn plastic out of the microwave. It's still a little warm at the bottom, so I'm handling it at the top. We're going to go ahead and open it up. Again, be sure that you have help from an adult, and there's no need to handle your plastic until it is nice and cool and won't hurt your fingers. Once it's cooled off, you can pull it out and you can see it's not a liquid anymore. So I think maybe our experiment has been successful. What do you think, Mia?
I think it looks great and very hard for some.
Very hard.
It looks like slime.
And it looks a little bit like slime, you're right.
It looks like Play-Doh mostly.
Play-Doh, slime, yes, it has a different consistency, and you'll find that once your corn plastic is cool to the touch, you can squeeze it, you can mold it, you can roll it in a ball, and it can kind of be a cool activity to play with, okay? So great job. You just made corn plastic, and there's lots of plastics that we use every single day that have corn products in them. So remember that Missouri farmers are working hard every single day, and their families, to provide us with safe, nutritious food and products that can go into things like plastic. So next time you see a farmer, be sure you thank them for all their hard work. Great job on your corn plastic. We hope you enjoyed today's activity, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.